Welcome back to yet another fun, scintillating, exciting episode of the Sportscasters Club YouTube program. In today's episode, we're going to talk about a crucial skill that most sportscasters, dare I say any sportscaster, needs to succeed. And without this crucial skill, you're probably going to fail.
Welcome to the Sportscasters Club radio show, where it's all about becoming a better sportscaster and a better sports fan. And now, your host, a man who has trained sportscasters at Marist College, the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, and Fordham University's WFUV Radio, Rick Schultz.
And I can give you some examples. By the way, my name is Rick. Thanks for joining us here today. If you love sports, if you want to be a better sportscaster and a better sports fan, consider subscribing to the channel and liking this video if you think it's halfway decent. I can remember back in the mid-90s, broadcasting professional baseball, I would get familiar, obviously, and make friends with different broadcasters around the New York Penn League, where I was broadcasting at the time. And I can remember one broadcaster in particular. He seemed to think he had it all figured out. He knew what he was doing. He was there. He was broadcasting the game for a Major League Baseball affiliate. He had his act together. That's the aura that he gave off. And I remember sitting in the dugout one day, and someone from his organization made a suggestion to him, a constructive criticism. And he basically sneered and walked away. And I'm sitting there in the dugout. This is during batting practice, before the game. I took note. The next year, he wasn't there anymore. And obviously, I didn't draw any big philosophical conclusion that day when I saw it happen. But as I reflect now, I love to think back to different points in my career, whether it was something I did or saw, or whether it had to do with someone else. And I try to learn from these things. And what I learned that day was he was not coachable. It was a constructive suggestion that was given to him, and he completely blew it off, never took it to heart. Obviously, it tells me that probably happened a lot in his broadcasting life. And again, I don't know everything that happened every day, but I just, as an overarching thought, one crucial skill you need to have as a sports broadcaster if you want to succeed is you want to be coachable. You want to be coachable. None of us are ever going to be perfect at this, but to the extent we can, we want to learn from those who are where we want to be. That's why I went to Fordham University as a student, because I wanted to learn from the great Marty Glickman. That's why I went there. And that's why I wanted to learn from other Fordham grads who had careers that I aspired to. People like Mike Breen and Michael Kay and Bob Papa, Chris Carino, and many others at the time. But I was coachable. For the most part, I believe. When I first started my career and we'd go to commercial break and my broadcast partner, Bill Rogan, would say, you might want to say this a little bit different, or you might have wanted to do that differently, or during that interview you might have wanted to ask this question. Bill was more established than I was. He had been doing it longer than I had. And so while I didn't always eagerly accept everything that he said, and I still don't, and we certainly had our moments. Some would say maybe it's style, depends how you impart the information to someone. And I, as a teacher, I understand that myself. But for the most part, I took his suggestions and tried to implement them. For example, when he said, Rick, in that interview you said so-and-so verse so-and-so, that's the wrong word. We're not talking about poetry. The word is verses. I was coachable. The next time I used that in an interview, I said verses. I used the proper word because I was coachable. And that's one of the main things you want to do as a sports broadcaster. You want to take the good from the ones that do it good, from the broadcasters that succeed and excel and have positive traits. You want to try to take as many of those as you can and put them into your body of work, to your broadcasting repertoire. You want to try to incorporate all those positive things into what you do. Not copy. You want to develop your own style, but you want to be coachable and take those suggestions to heart. So that's very important, because without that, you're really capping yourself. You're not allowing yourself to be helped and improved by others that can see it from an objective point of view. Because a lot of times, for example, in the comments here, you can say a million things. I don't like the color of your shirt. I don't like your hat. I don't like how you speak. I don't like what you're talking about. You can make all these comments. Some of them are going to be just trolls being trolls. Some of them are going to make a lot of sense. So if someone says, Rick, you might want to try this during your video. I'll give it some thought. I'll give it some suggestion. And you can usually tell if it's coming from a place of wanting to help or whether it's coming from a place of just being a troll. I watch a lot of YouTube videos in all different genres, and there are certain people that, for example, use the same word. There's one host that he uses the word essentially, and he'll begin his program, and in the first 2 or 3 minutes, he'll put that word essentially into his video 20 times. I'm not kidding. 20 times in the first 3 minutes. But he's a good guy and he does a great program. It's fun. He gives great value. So I'm never going to go in his comments and just blast him and say, essentially. If I ever did, I would do a private message. Now, it's not really my place to, but you can usually tell if someone is trying to coach you from a positive perspective, that they really want to help. And if so, take those suggestions. Take those objective assessments of your work.
When you're done with this episode, or even if you want to open your browser now, you can go deeper and learn the secrets of sports broadcasting. Search our full list of books at sportscastersclub.com. Available from Amazon and Kindle, paperback, and Audible format.
I remember when I was an intern at WFAN Radio, 1998. I remember towards the end of the semester, I sat down with Eric Spitz, who was wasn't the program director. That was Mark Chernoff. But Eric Spitz was in charge of all the interns, which I was at the time. And we sat down and he listened to my tape, just like Marty Glickman did every week for us at Fordham University at the time. And I can remember some of the things Eric said. He would stop the tape. You can be better at this. I remember one specific thing. We were talking about my pacing, that it needed to be different during the crescendo of a play, and then my intensity needed to come down when I was broadcasting the dead time between pitches during a baseball game and between the ball being live in action. So it needed to vary. Obviously that's true. And Eric was a professional. He was one of the best at knowing what's right in a baseball broadcast and what could be improved upon. So I took that constructively, obviously because he's a good guy and he was doing it from a place of wanting to help. That also led to me wanting to hear what he had to say objectively and take it constructively. But you want to be coachable. You want to be coachable. You don't want to be told how to broadcast, and you don't want to conform just because someone wants you to conform to a certain way, but you want to be coachable. So I go back to the story I started with. The broadcaster that I knew, that I was friends with, great guy, he wasn't coachable. He wasn't there the next season. I don't know whatever happened to him. I haven't talked to him since that day. I should reach out. I'm sure I can find him through a friend of the organization. But he wasn't there. And maybe, possibly, it's because not being coachable was a thread that ran through his career. Just a thought. Just a thought. When you find someone that wants to help, you want to be coachable. And that's one of the crucial skills you need as a broadcaster. There's a lot. We talk a lot about them at sportscastersclub.com. Our 7-hour course has a lot about that, as do our books and everything else on the website. But you certainly want to be coachable because, especially at the beginning and even after you advance in your career, you don't know everything. And that's why many broadcasters still have mentors. When they've excelled in their career, when they're at the top of their game, they have coaches and mentors. I mean, you hear it with athletes. They have special trainers and nutritionists to help them be better. They're coachable. Same thing as an athlete being coachable. You want to be coachable as a sports broadcaster. So I hope this quick little video can help you or someone in your life. And I hope this makes you a better sportscaster. And I hope it makes you a better sports fan if you're not pursuing the career of sports media. So thanks for joining us today. Make sure to like this video, share it with a friend. Obviously, subscribe for our next one. And until next time, I'm Rick. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you then.
Thanks for listening to the Sportscasters Club radio show at sportscastersclub.com. Don't forget to subscribe so you will never miss an episode. And thanks for liking, sharing, posting reviews, and spreading the word.